Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the time or day it may be for you. All right, this is Mr. Glenn, driving math, and hopefully this will help you on your journey to being a better math student or understanding math a little bit better. All right, so today we're going to be working on factoring special trinomials and binomials. All right. So first problem. Look. All right, so we solve this problem just exactly the same way that we would any other problem where we're taking this trinomial and we're going to make it into a binomial. Now, what we would do is take this 36 and we will break it down into your into factors, right? And then we would find which one of these add up to be 12, right? And it would be 6. Now, because this is, but a shortcut is because we know that this first term is squared, because it's t to the second, and we know that the last term, we know if we know our square roots, is squared, we can say, okay, t, and this middle term is plus, t plus 6 times t plus 6. We're saying that's going to be their answer. And the way that we check that is to multiply the inner terms. We got 6 times t is 6t, and t times 6 is 6t, and that's 12t. So this answer would be correct, but you can write it like this. T plus 6, all right, squared. All right. All right, so here's another problem. All right, but the first thing we have to do, right, is factor out the greatest common factor of each term. It'll be 4p. So we have 4p. We're left with p squared plus 6p plus 9. And you can see that p is squared, and you take the square root of 9, it's 3. So p plus 3, and the middle term is a positive. So it's going to be p plus 3. 4p. And our final answer will be 4p times p plus 3 squared. Okay. Now, sometimes they may not even be able to take out the greatest common factor. $9k squared plus 30k plus 25, right? So they do not have a greater common factor, but we can check and see if these terms are squared. Are they perfect squares? And so the square root of 9 is 3. Square root of k squared is k. Square root of 25 is 5. And we're going to see if this is correct, right? By multiplying the inner terms. 5 times 3k is 15k. And 3k times 5k is 15k. We add those together, you get 30k. So that is your answer. So that answer is correct, or binomial is correct. And that's what you get. Okay, can you see that? Make sure I'm out the way. Then you can look at a problem like this. Yes, it's squared. It's a perfect square. Perfect square. Square root of 9 is 3. So square root of 4 is 2. Square root of c squared is c. So that's plus 3. 2c plus 3. All right. So we're going to see if we can do 3 times 2c is 6c. That's 12c. So this answer would not work for that particular problem. We would have to take the last terms, first and last term. We got 9 times 4, 36. Then we take the factors. And we take the factors of 36 that equal 20. And we're going to use that to solve the trinomial. 4c squared plus 2c plus 18c plus 9. There are 4 terms, so we're going to factor by grouping. We're going to break this down by 2c. We're left with 2c plus 1. Break this down by 9. End up with 2c. 18 divided by 9 is 2c plus 1. The greatest common factor here is 2c plus 1. And then 2c, 2c plus 9. All right, and that's your answer for that particular problem. 2c, and then you have your 18c, which gives you your 20c. So that's your answer. Okay, so yes, you can try the shortcut. If the shortcut doesn't work, just try the actual way that you should solve it. Not actual way you should solve it, sorry, you should try the long way to solve it. Okay. All right, so then we're going to factor 2 squares. Factor the difference of 2 squares. Difference means subtract. So y squared minus 9. So this is the difference of 2 squares. This is square, so we're going to go y. The square root of y squared is y. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 9 is 3. And one will be positive and one will be negative, because when we multiply the middle term and the last term, they cancel out to be 0. So that would be your answer. Difference of squares. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. Difference of squares. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of m squared, sorry, is m. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of n squared is n. One will be negative. One will be positive. Okay, and we check it. That's negative 20mn positive 20m n, and that's 0. So that works. Okay. Hopefully this makes sense and it's not just something that I'm writing on the board and you're like, I don't get it. Once again, if you don't get it, just re-watch the video. You can subscribe to the channel. You can ask questions in the comment section. So you say, oh my goodness, it's a fraction. Well, the process is still the same. This is squared. This is the perfect square. 9 is a perfect square. 64 is a perfect square. So we got W, and then square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 64 is 8. One of them will be minus. One of them will be positive. And that's your answer. Then you have sum of squares. Sum of squares is prime. You cannot solve that. Okay? All right, so let's go a little further on in this particular lesson. All right. So let's say we had 128 a minus 2a squared. Are they perfect squares? No. Can we factor out? Yes. We can factor out 2a. So you have 2a left with 64 minus a squared. These are squared. Sorry, it's a perfect square. It's a perfect square. So one will be 8 plus a. The other one will be 8 minus a, and then you have 2a. And there's your answer. Okay. Just looking at my notes. All right, so we look and see if we can break down this problem into by factors. We can break it down by a factor of 5. Okay, so we got 5 that we're dividing out. We're left with x squared plus 9. This is a sum of squares. Remember, sum of squares prime. We cannot factor anymore. So this 5 times x squared plus 9 will be your answer. Now this one took me a moment to get, because it's a little different. Okay, this is b to the 4th, and b to the 4th is squared, because if you divide it by 2, then you would get well, 4 is divisible by 2, and you would get 2, or b to the 2nd. So you end up with b to the 2nd minus square root of 16, which is 4, and b squared plus 4, right? So we can break that down. This is prime, but this one can also be broken down even further to b minus 2, b plus 2, b squared plus 4. That's your answer. So be very aware of if you factor it once, that it can be factored again. Okay. All right. All right, so All right, so I'm gonna stop the video there, and I'm gonna create a second video of difference of cubes and sum of cubes. So this video one is not so long, and also that you can kind of divide up the information and understand it maybe a little bit more. All right, so thank you for your time. Be right back if you go into the next video. If not, see you next time. All right, once again, this is Mr. Glenn with Driving Math. Hopefully this has helped. Please subscribe, hit the notification button, share, like, comment, all that jazz. And if you need tutoring, let me know. All right, bye.